In my previous video, I showed you Pontiac's most memorable car. This time, I'm going to show you their last. Hey! The 2009 Pontiac G8 is an interesting car. It was assembled by Holden, which is based in Australia. Over there it was called the Commodore. When it came to the States, GM slapped a Pontiac badge on the front of it, which is no longer in existence in the auto world. Pontiac sales had been suffering for a while, and as a result, General Motors decided to suspend the brand. In the end, just over 23,000 examples of this were sold in the US. To put that in perspective, the same year Toyota Corolla had over 300,000 models sold. So yeah, this car is pretty uncommon. The G8 was sold with 3 variants: the base model, the GT, and the GXP. This being the GT, it came stock with a V8, clear taillights, quad exhaust pipes, and some fancy chrome handles. The liquid red paint, ram air vents, and flared fenders really give this G8 one angry look from the front end. The rear is clean and comes off a bit more passive, with the exception of the spoiler and those tailpipes. It's a good visual reminder that this is no regular sedan. This does have near perfect weight balance, 51/49 front to rear, and the battery is in the back for that reason. The interior design is alarmingly symmetrical, with good quality materials and paint matching seat trim. It has a clean, straightforward look with some obvious deviations from Pontiac's norm. First thing I noticed that's different than other Pontiacs are the window controls and mirror controls in the center console. Another thing I noticed was this button that just came out of nowhere. When I asked the owner, what does this button do, he said, it's the e-brake. I was expecting an e-brake in the footwell, so it took me by surprise since I've never seen one so subtly designed into the center console before. And there was another cool trick it had up its sleeve. I'm a fan of anything with a hidden menu. In this car, if you hold the enter button while putting in the on position, an engineering mode menu pops up. And inside that menu, you have a couple of different tidbits about the car that you couldn't see otherwise. Some are pretty granular. For instance, instant fuel, how many gallons of gas you have left, engine oil life, what gear you're in, throttle position, and so on. It's just something you don't normally see. It's pretty neato. I like that. One last interesting bit are the vents. They're attached to the door. I thought something broke off at first, but they're just attached to the door. And check out those snazzy foot pedals. One thing I love about GMs is their easy start feature. All you gotta do is push it into the on position, the engine starts right up. From the times I've driven it so far, the one most impressive thing is its smoothness. This is one smooth car. Right off the bat, you can feel the acceleration. This thing just wants to go. 361 horsepower, really knows how to kick. The power is there for you. The owner of this car is my coworker, Tony Thunder, we call him. He's in a band called Devil Kitty. For 80,000 miles, it is in fantastic condition. He garages it, he takes care of it, and he's loved the car. He says it's been nothing but solid for him since he's owned it. I'm not surprised, honestly, feeling this car. The most he's ever had is a squeak out of the front wheels. It's got a good grumble to it in the back end. You kind of have this nice tone that just settles behind you. And let's see, I'm in 6th gear, so if I put my foot down a little bit, ooh, okay. That was a bit much more than I wanted. Turning beast mode on in this car is as simple as throttle from here to here. That's it. And this thing just throws you. This is a very easy car to drive as far as you have your power, you have your performance, you have your relaxation. You can just kind of mosey on down the street, no big deal. Or you can put your foot down and you can let it take you over. I can't tell if I'm going too fast or these guys are going too slow. It clearly says 50 miles an hour. I'm going to ask you guys to speed this up. You can tell certain things are very Australian about it because of the vernacular they use in the heads-up display. So when you switch from kilometers to miles an hour, it says English or metric. It's almost a knock against the Americans to say they won't know what imperial is. Just call it English. But one thing I loved about that, which I was looking at the speedometer and I'm saying, how do you know what the kilometers an hour are? It doesn't say it on the dial. And why does Pontiac insist, or Holden, insist on pointing out that it's miles per hour with a lit up display portion just for that? The owner pointed out you just go through the menu, you switch it from metric to English, and then when you do so, I don't know why I think this is the coolest thing in the world, the physical gauge catches up to what the kilometers per hour should be, but in a physical way. So the physical needle will jump to where the same speed would be in kilometers an hour. I love that. That's the dumbest thing to love, but I love that. And that transmission is smooth. Ooh, So if I want to go down from 4th to 3rd, that's nice. That is a very impressive shift. And put your foot down a little bit, upshift. Not bad at all. A lot of times I feel like the transmissions just clunk around on me. I've driven a Jeep with 9 gears and that thing couldn't decide where it was going. I don't feel like it's struggling to figure out which one it should be in. It's not a transmission. This is a transmission. Usually I just go straight to manual. I have no problem using the automatic mode. It feels like I can trust what it's doing. I love this when when you're in between 2 sets of traffic, when there's traffic back there and there's traffic over there and you're just like, please leave me alone, I'm right in the middle. The best thing is when they catch up, they're not going to catch up. The handling is pretty sharp too. A big car like this, you think you'd be a little bit more scared of a nice bendy road, but this thing kind of swallows them right up. My man Tony needs to get his tires balanced, but besides that, this drive is smooth, man, it's smooth. The wheel feels good too. It's got these good little thumb grips on it for you to place your hands in the accurate location. The braking in this car is nice and responsive as well. I don't feel like I'm pressing bottle caps against small pieces of metal. They did look a little bit tiny from the outside, but that was more so in relation to the giant rims he put on it. So the only recommendation I had to him was get some nice chunky brakes, make it look the part. So the seating position is good. The seat itself is comfortable. This little armrest here is nice. I would imagine if you have cups here, they would be in the way. If you have the old style American supersize me McDonald's cups, you're probably not going to be super comfortable. I do like the contour of the interior. Everything looks good, everything feels good. It feels like it's still together. And after 80,000 miles in a decade, you would know if a car is improperly built. This was built very well. This is a solid car. The 20s that he put on there still mock the original look of the stock rims, just with that chrome touch. We're a little beyond that now. We go with matte, right? We go with aluminum rims. So the look is a little played out, but it still works on this car. The bulbous kind of stance that this has with these tires, these 275s just sticking out the back end with that quad tailpipe design. For some reason, those giant rims just play with it very well. Looks really good. At first, I thought the chrome door handles were a cheesy little add-on, but I can see them in the side view mirrors, and it's nice. It's something that just says to you, I have the GT. One thing I don't get why they never did this is the Utes. Now, the Ute was the pickup version of this, which I'm an El Camino fan through and through. I would love to get a pickup version of this. It's just a cool looking car. Then with the versatility and the power of what you're working with here, I think that's pretty awesome. And I always like the word Ute because it sounds like a New Yorker trying to say youths. And instead he goes, the Utes.
Did you say Utes?
Yeah, 2 Utes.
What is a Ute?
Excuse me, Your Honor. 2 youths.
If you look these cars up online, they've retained their values amazingly well. The base seems to go between anywhere from 8 to 12, where this can go from 15 all the way up to 24. And the GXP, with low mileage and in good condition, I saw one for 41,000. Now maybe some guy's just saying, let's see if this works. But I was absolutely shocked to see that somebody was able to ask that kind of money and could potentially get that price. It's a car you can't find. If nobody's making it and you want it, that's the price you pay. My favorite thing about researching this car was looking it up online and finding everyone who loved it. Usually you can find the fanboys, you can find the people who, whether they just love Pontiac or love American cars or whatever the case is, but you'd be hard pressed to find people who genuinely have good reason to hate this car. I think one of the biggest complaints I saw about the car, water can get into the headlight or the tail light or whichever, which, come on. If that's your only problem after 10 years, you should drive some of the cars I've driven. Once you own a Plymouth Sundance, everything looks better. I'm not gonna lie. I was expecting to make fun of my coworker, Tony Thunder, for buying the last Pontiac ever made, thinking the car would be all engine but nothing much otherwise. Obviously, the joke is on me this time, and I was very wrong. I was pleasantly surprised and partially jealous at the end. It's sad to see Pontiac go, but at least they went out in style. If you enjoyed watching me drive this G8, click the like button. If you want to see more, subscribe. As always, thanks for watching. Right? Got to get that out of the way. I use the de-esser. Really works well with me because my S's are a little sibilant.
A little whistly.
A little